And we're live. And we are live. Audio check. Check. Check audio. Can everyone hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up or a response over in the chat if you can hear me. Audio's good. Excellent. 20 people in the house. Rapidly increasing. 9 thumbs ups. We've got JC Warlock, FM Stenninger, DJ Truth, CMC, Goons Are Us, South Africa. Lacab Slizard from Transylvania in the house. We are from all over the planet, and we are assembling in a room. The Boom Room. 10 a.m. magnetic reversal time. 40 in the house. 26 thumbs ups. We'll wait till 50 get here, and then we'll begin. Keith Evans with the super chat off from the rip. Awesome, Keith. Thank you. We appreciate you. And that is definitely a Keith Evans super chat. Boom. I did that? All right, I just had to choke down some breakfast. Preparing for Crestone Energy Fair coming up this weekend. There's a lot of work to do to give away hundreds of dollars worth of free stuff. And I will be speaking on Sunday at the Regenerative Stage, which is on the live stream from 3:30 to 5, so don't miss it. The topic of the discussion will be the necessity of permaculture. Thomas Fogarty with the $5 super chat. Boom, in the Boom Room this morning. Thank you very much, Thomas. Much appreciated. We love you. That is a super chat. Boom. Okay. Prepping from Scotland is here. Pam Hallman in the house. Elon Butterfield thumbing it up. Cheryl. Hi, everyone. Hi, Cheryl. All the sun with the thumb up and the boom. In the Boom Room, stitching Marmy. Apparently, she knits. Chris Milk. I can't. I need glasses. Milky? Chris Milky. Michael Pierce, Matthew McDonald, and many other. We're over 50. All right, let the questions roll because we're going to be quick here. It's 10:09. I have the phone company coming. CenturyLink is coming because our landline has been down for over a week. So we've had no communications out directly here except through our satellite. And obviously you can drive out of the road. But the beauty of needing a landline is that there's no cell service. So a lot of reduced electromagnetic activity in our valley here, which is excellent for sensitive people. So I'd recommend all you that are sensitive to EMF waves. There are plenty of locations in the US that you can find there is almost no EMF. Like we're sitting right here, which is why we need a landline. 55 people in the house. Now, the reason there's so few people in here is because we've been banned from Facebook for a month until towards October. And I literally control about 200,000 people in different groups over at Facebook. So when I can share over there, hundreds of people can see it immediately and will come in here. So a lot of our viewership is much lower because of shadow banning and just outright banning from social media sites. So that kind of sucks, as well as CenturyLink sucks because they have a monopoly on the entire region. There are no choices, just one. So they don't have to be on time. They don't have to be fast. They don't have to be efficient. They don't have to be anything. They're the only thing you can choose. And that's just the state of the nation that we're in, which is kind of insane. Indica Farmer says, yeah, I agree, Indica Farmer, but the only way to get the message out is to use all of your avenues if you're an organizer like myself, and we have to use the platforms that censor heavily because I've been developing my presence on those for over a decade, which is why I have dozens of groups and sites, and that's how we get this message out. You don't just start a YouTube channel and thousands of people watch. You need to do something or else your channel will not be successful and no one will watch your content. So unless, of course, you have millions of subs because your content is vapid and useless, and all you do is pranks and show pictures of puppies, then millions of people will watch you because that is the caliber of humanity that we're living with right now. 80% of people are vapid idiots with low IQs that turn on the news and say, blah, 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 blah. So Very difficult situation we're in, which is why we need to go back to the tribe mentality. And you should be creating community locally and a network of people where you can survive and thrive in the future. And we're talking self-reliance and sustainability, where there's a closed loop system, almost like permaculture, that brings together farming and waste and living and all the daily needs in a closed loop where you don't have to go to the store every day to buy something. You can go to your neighbors to get onions, or you can go to Frank's to get some milk, or you can go up the road here and borrow a backhoe because you need to dig a hole. This is the type of community you need to be setting up. And that's what we've been working on here for about 6 years now. And it doesn't happen overnight. We're not even ready in 6 years. So no one is going to be prepared or totally ready during whatever happens. Let's say it's a grid down scenario and the grid is out for a year. You're going to be as ready as you are that moment. So think about it that way. Every little piece that you can add every day, a pound of rice, a couple extra batteries, a solar panel, an extra flashlight, anything that will help you in a grid down scenario, maybe some more preps, some more food, some more ammo, anything. Each day, a little piece, take a bite, and it slowly adds up. And also remember, it's very important. If you're buying all this stuff and just throwing it in a closet, eventually you're going to forget what you're buying. And so you need to take good inventory and rotate your stock. So the things you're buying are things that you already use, that you're going to use. You shouldn't be buying stuff that you don't already use because it's cheap and you're like, oh, I'll just eat that. That's not how it's going to work. You're going to want to prep and stuff you like to eat. Just think about it practically. You're not going to want to grow food in your garden that you don't like. If I don't like eggplants and my whole garden is eggplants, I'm an idiot, period. So pretty simple, common sense stuff here. Okay, now I'm going to answer a few questions, and then we got to go in about 20 minutes because Leah's coming. Well, we have our neighbor coming who's going to be looking after the rainfall we're going for a few days here. We've got security that's going to be here, and we've got to bring them up to speed on everything that they need to do while we're gone. Gremlin will not be with us at the event, so someone has to look after her here as well. And because this is her ranch that she protects, she really has to stay on site here to protect the chickens and the animals because that's what she does. Gremlin will be here protecting the property as well as other people while we're gone. And we have an excellent trip before Crestone that we're going to be doing, looking for some hidden secret petroglyphs in the San Luis Valley that have been scrubbed from the internet because of vandalism and stuff. But we're going to go out there and see if we can look at some sites north of Bishop Rock in the San Luis Valley. If you want to Google that or DuckDuckGo it, Bishop Rock to the north, Dry Creek and Rock Creek have over 80 sites, petroglyph and pictograph sites. And we're going to go see if we can locate some of those on Saturday. So stay tuned for the footage on my birthday on Saturday of us exploring the wilderness, looking for petroglyphs. I don't have a mic on, so let me throw a mic on here. I'm just using the ambient mic. Oh, I was worried about that. Thank you for the heads up in the room here. So let's check this. This might be a little better. And give me a bunch of thumbs up if this audio is crisp and clean. Anybody? CMC, I'm looking for you because you're the one who brought it up. How is the audio now? Is it any better? Okay, it's excellent. Thumb up. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to look for a few questions. And now that I'm coming in loud and clear, 90% of unprepared folks will be dead within 3 months. Probably less than that, 3 weeks. Because of the spread of waterborne illness, many people, well, they will poop themselves to death or in the early phases. People don't know what to do with their poop or how to utilize wilderness pooping or how to poop in a hole. Most people don't know how to do that. And it's very simple. And it's to keep the nasties away from your fingers and your hands and to keep it underground where it's safe, where it can decompose. Also, after you do that kind of wilderness number 2, you need to be cleaning your hands because there's parasites on there that you can bring into your gut biome that are very bad. And so cleanliness, if there's no running water in major cities, where are you going to get water? The back of a toilet? It's not going to exist. So people are going to get dirty really quick. And if you don't know how to shower in a creek and stay clean without a shower or a toilet, you're in big trouble. In fact, I haven't had an operational toilet here for over 6 years on purpose, even though there's a finished bathroom right there with a toilet on that I could put water in the back of and use that's connected to our septic system.
I choose not to because at some point, maybe that won't be a viable option, but it's just good to be prepared and to be living the way you may need to live. It's just a way of living the preparedness that you want to be. As Rex Bear says, be the change you want to see. Okay. I didn't receive notification. Everyone just got here. Medical surgical kits. Yeah, they're available on Amazon. We purchased an EMT kit. It's about $400, which is the same kind of first aid kit in an EMT. It's got everything, including scalpels and sutures. So it's available to the public. There are also excellent books on field surgery and other types of preparedness that are out there that get high ratings on Amazon. So go get some of those books and put them in your library. Okay, any questions? Keep those 25-year food supplies away from heat. Yeah, absolutely. All of your preps need to be in a dark place between 45 and 65 degrees. Typically, and in not a damp place, a dark, dry place. So you want that in the first floor or lower in your house or in a root cellar or in a basement that's not damp with a dehumidifier. You want to keep the humidity very low, dark, cool, and stable. You don't really want temperature fluctuations of any kind. If it's a stable temperature in the dark with no humidity, things will store out for decades. Seeds will last forever, for a lifetime. And so you're going to really get really good results with that. Add a little bit of moisture, a little bit of light, things will go awry quickly. Also, you need to be putting your preps in rigid containers if you have rodents or rats around, because they'll come and they'll eat everything and it's all gone then. It'll be contaminated. So make sure you have good rodent control or no rodents at all, or a hermetically sealed environment that's dark, stable temperature between 45 and 65 with no sun. Then you'll be okay. Underground root cellar is the best if you have humidity control there. We're in the desert, so we don't need any humidity control ever, anywhere, ever. So that's the beauty of being out here. Very little mold, very little fungi. And the fungi that you do find is like boletes and chanterelles, and they're delicious, worth $22 a pound, can dry up and be stored forever. Mushroom season just came with a massive bloom this year. Tens of thousands of pounds of boletes, chanterelles, and other mushrooms are coming out of the high country as I speak. And so most of the wild harvesters know what to do. They're drying these mushrooms. Alan chopped up maybe 10 pounds, 5 or 10 pounds of boletes, and he's got some frozen. Well, I don't know what he did, so we'll have to ask Alan, but that's just how you do it here. Free food is in the forest in abundance if you know how to get it. Yes, we will be accepting Afghanistan refugees. Okay, I'm looking for some questions. Mylar bags and buckets is perfect. If you're using a sealer to take the air out of bags, one of the standard ones on the market, you can't just keep the rice or the beans or whatever you're putting in those airtight bags in the bags. They need to go into, I would recommend before you seal them in the sealant bags, you put your prep into a Mylar bag that goes into the sealer bag, and then you seal the products that's in the Mylar bag that's not sealed. And you have to keep the Mylar bag unsealed while you're sealing the seal bag because the air won't evacuate from it. So Mylar bag in first to your sealer bag, put the prep in the Mylar bag, then seal both bags. And the Mylar helps rice, cannabis, or other things from poking out and making holes in your bag. And it also keeps the light out, which is very critical. Okay, I'm looking for some more questions. Is Easy Cellar a good book? Never heard of it, but if it's talking about root cellaring, probably. And then, of course, according to DJ Truth, you can can everything. That's true. You can can absolutely anything. You could can lighters if you wanted, although they might blow up in the boil. Diamond, this is from JC Warlock. Well, first, let's go to Gypsy Rose 8. Our summer has been pretty cold in Santa Barbara. Yes, it was 41 the other morning here. It's the coldest August in 6 years here. It's usually 100. It's 78. I mean, we're talking 20 plus degrees below normal. And the nights, well, not 41 degrees in middle August. Are you kidding me? We just had snow in Colorado, Wyoming, Utah. So it's going to be an early winter. Be prepared. Some regions won't be in early winter. It'll be normal. But a lot of areas are going to have a very early winter, very early frost, including the center of the U.S., like Iowa. So heads up in Iowa. All right, JC Warlock. Lack of water. Yeah, let's get back to Gypsy Rose. Her main fear, or his main fear, is lack of water. Yeah, which is why we are in a glacial valley with a river and an aquifer 18 feet below us. So you dig 20 feet, there's water. You walk a quarter mile, there's a river. And that's key in the desert because it almost never rains here. 12 inches a year. We've already got 5 inches of it. So very limited rain in the desert. And when you're in a state where you can't capture water like Colorado, it's almost like they want you to die. So Arizona's awesome. They mandate you collect water in certain states. And that's the way it should be. Every single drop that hits your building should be collected into a cistern for your survival and your plant health, for your permaculture orchard. Duh. And that's the way it should just work. Okay. Back to the questions, and we're going to go. What time is it? I'm going to go about 15 more minutes. So 150 people in the house. Thank you all for coming here. 105 thumbs ups. We appreciate each and every one of them. Bing! Subscribe to the Magnetic Reversal News if you haven't. Subscribe over at Oppenheimer Ranch too. Share our videos because we're shadow banned. That means they don't share them in the algorithm, and only people that subscribe or know to come look at our channel can actually watch our stuff for the most part. Very few of our videos get out there on the main interwebs for a number of reasons. And we don't really care what they are or wish to manipulate the system. We're fine with it. All right, so let me get back up to this question, which I have missed and missed and missed hundreds of times. And now I've lost it. Holy macaroni. All right, bear with me. JC Warlock, Diamond, you said about the ancient city that rose from sea level to 200 feet above. It was possibly because the town moved 10 degrees south of the equatorial water bulge. I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never said anything like that because I don't even know what you're talking about. You said about the ancient city that rose from sea level? Huh? Okay. Well, let me just throw out some facts here. There are certain places in South America that we're well aware of where the megalithic builders were, like Lake Titicaca, that's now at very high elevation. But based on evidence, I mean, we're talking, I don't know how high that is, 13,000 feet, 14,000 feet, Lake Titicaca. Maybe it's lower, but it's high. It's way up there. There is evidence that Lake Titicaca was at sea level back in the day. And now it's miles high up in a mountain range. So what that should tell you is that the crust can heave in massive ways. And we're talking uplift of miles in a short period of time, maybe in our lifetime, that some event that is so severe that is triggered. And we're just talking 12,900 years ago to 11,500 years ago. During that younger Dryas window, there might have been crustal heaving miles up and down. Now, if a city got dropped down 1,000 feet below sea level, clearly it would be inundated. And then if another city got pushed up into the clouds, people would be scared to death. Plus, it would be extremely catastrophic. So that's just some strange facts that we'll share with you here. Okay, I'm going to look for a few more questions. Did you see my question about their magnetic pole crossing the North Mid-Atlantic Rift? JC Warlock, I don't even understand your questions or what they mean. I'm sorry. Did you see my question about the magnetic pole crossing the North Mid-Atlantic Rift? What's the North Mid-Atlantic Rift? Are you talking about the mid-ocean ridge? Because I don't know what you're talking about. And it doesn't matter. The pole, if you're all watching the guy that's dying that we used to have on the show, He just makes stuff up. He's not a scientist. He sells agricultural products. And he got a magnet one day and said, oh, we get to 40 degrees and we all die. First of all, there's no actual magnetic pole that he's measuring there. It's an assumed pole based on other polarities. There is no actual spot. It is based on numbers. It's not a thing. So that not a thing moving across the surface of the earth is not a thing. Ding, ding. So if it moves over a mountain or a mid-ocean ridge, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It's the overall effect. As the poles are starting to get jiggy and move, the magnetosphere is weakening and the strength, the dipole strength is weakening. That's what does it. That's what changes the weather. That's what allows more cosmic rays to come in. That's what causes 16 inches of rain in Tennessee that we just experienced with loss of life. And we told you 4 years ago that in 3 years, this is going to be happening. And our channel barely grows. Why? Because this is the most accurate and critical scientific information. And if it gets out to the masses, people are going to stop working and start prepping. They're going to stop listening to the nonsense. And that is the biggest threat to the cabal that controls the world. That if we know what's going on as a collective whole, we will not comply. And they cannot let that information get out. Now, because we present the information in a pretty non-threatening way here, they can't completely eliminate our channel. So we have to be very vigilant in what we're doing to keep this information flowing to the masses. Because lots of people that a bunch of you watch in our community are complete disinformation specialists, fearmongers, and idiots that don't even have any business saying half of the things they say. And I'm going to give you a great example. Dabu7, the smallest IQ idiot on YouTube. He's been around for decades and millions of people follow this idiot. The most intelligent thing he can do is read 3 sentences from a newspaper headline and 50,000 people watch his show. What he did yesterday was show some satellite images of Hurricane Henri going through an eye wall recycle, which is an updraft, which is why hurricanes exist. They're updrafting as they're spinning. And he claimed that there was an explosion inside the hurricane because he doesn't know anything about science, weather, and nothing. He's just an idiot. And he's looking at it. He's like, wow, I'll tell everyone it's an explosion and it's geoengineering. And 100,000 people watch this. He also claimed that they can steer. So based on his explosion, they can steer these storms. So they're going to make Henry stronger and it's going to hit a city. Well, Henry weakened and it was nowhere near any city. It, in fact, made landfall in the least populated area of the entire megaplex. So Dabu7 was wrong about an explosion because he doesn't know anything about weather. He was wrong. There is no geoengineering. They didn't create this storm and they didn't steer it. And if they did a terrible job because it landed in the best spot in the entire region to do the least damage. Now, come on. And I get 25 emails about the explosion in the storm this morning from all of you people because you watch this nonsense. Stop it. All right. I have to go on a rant. See, I just took up all that time. I'm sorry. All right, let me look for a few more questions. 216 in the house, 148 thumbs ups. Thank you. Stop watching Dabu7 because that's his IQ. 7. Diamond, do you have any animals? Do I have any animals? Are you kidding me? Kristen, you watch the show. We have 50 birds. We've got pigs. We've got cats. I've got a dog. Do I have any animals? What? Oh, yeah. We're also getting about 80 heritage birds coming in October that we ordered over a year ago. That's how hard it is to buy birds from hatcheries. We actually bought the birds that are coming in for this spring won't be here till this fall. So there's an actual 1-year delay if you want to get chickens at many of the top hatcheries. So if you want to get into birds, you either have to know someone or wait a very long time to get chickens or buy the medicated ones from Tractor Supply. Oh, back to the refugee question. Humidity is off the hook. Yep. That's what happens when there's a tropical system. Humidity. Also, you live in a rainforest. The Northeast is a rainforest. Okay, looking for some good questions. What if you keep your thermostat at 77? That's great. Less electric bill. Is there some sort of calendar in the petroglyphs? There's lots of different petroglyph calendars. The spirals are equinoctial or solstice markers, and they're actually created over a period of a year, coming back every day and tipping a spot where the shadow is crossing the petroglyph. And in the end of an entire year, they'll get 7 whirls of a shadow, and that will be a solstice or an equinoctial marker. There's other type of calendar petroglyphs, but the ones that have designs or are anthropomorphic typically are not calendars, except south of here, about an hour and a half at Mesa Prieta Project, where there's over 100,000 petroglyphs preserved at the Mesa Prieta Preserve. There is a Kokopelli that is the most amazing Kokopelli petroglyph, probably 14 inches long, that sits on a boulder beneath an overhang that is an equinoctial and solstice marker. It's absolutely amazing. Please look, check into it. The native cultures didn't need mechanical watches or clocks because they understood that the sun moved up and down in the sky on a period of a year, and that it casts shadows in different ways every year. And all you have to do is follow the shadow on a cliff or on a rock face. And when it stops, guess what? Yeah, it's either December or mid-June, end of December or mid-June. Because when it was 3 days before Jesus rose again, that is the winter solstice. And then 3 days later, the sun starts rising and getting higher in the sky, all the way towards June 21st or June 20th during the summer solstice. And then boom, it reverses. So the natives were well aware of that, and there are plenty of equinoctial and solstice calendars in the form of spirals and Kokopelli on rocks that shadows that fall upon them tell you what the season month is. So that's pretty. And there's an amazing example of this. I think it's called the Sun Dagger. You can't go see it anymore. It's nearby here near Shiprock. I believe the Navajo Nation owns it. It's part of their history. And it's up on the top of a mesa that's impossible to get to. And they literally leaned a multi-ton boulder. And there is a sliver of light that comes through a crack only on the winter solstice. Completely mind-blowing. How did they get that rock into that position? Did they just look all over the world to find a rock with the right crack in it? No. This was literally placed there by ancient man in stunning fashion. So there is so much we haven't been told on purpose. Remember, the natives are dirty and they're, primitive. We have to eliminate them. Okay, our summer has been pretty cool in Santa Barbara. Yes, it has been. Oh, okay, still don't understand that question. Being on prescription drugs is going to be a problem when things go down. Yeah, you're going to die if you need the drugs. So, my suggestion to you is to get off of those drugs. Now, remember, before the fake pharmacy was there, everyone did fine without pharmaceuticals. The one thing pharmaceuticals has done is destroyed hundreds of millions of lives through addiction, killed young people, and basically created a pandemic of mental illness where over 20% of the population is medicated beyond belief with poisonous pharmaceuticals, making the elites billionaires, keeping you sick, medicated, and weak. And that's who's dying from the Wu flu, to be quite honest. People that eat processed food and eat pharmaceuticals. A paper just came out that said CBD prevents the replication of that virus. How many people that take CBD or smoke the chronic got sick in the last year and a half? I don't know anyone. That is something they certainly won't tell you. And if the algo picks it up, we'll demonetize us. How long do we have before the shit hits the fan? Dumbest question ever, Denali Blue. Shows how weak you are. So, if you need a date, you're not ready and you're fucked. Good luck. Okay. Yeah, powdered vitamin C is awesome. I take vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, 20 other supplements every day, plus a green juice. And I also do a golden milk powder, which is mostly turmeric. And now we're drinking a probiotic cold pressed juice, which costs $6. But I don't pay $6 for this. Are you kidding me? I know when they go on clearance and I get them for $1. This is cold pressed tangerine mint tango, and it's fantastic. So do your homework and don't pay full price for anything ever, or else you haven't figured anything else out ever. So learn how to bargain. How would the extra dust coming from space going to affect the climate? Well, we know that dust does two things here on Earth. When the Sahara dust come across into the Caribbean, they stop storms from happening, especially circulatory storms like hurricanes. So if there's lots of dust coming in, maybe there'll be less hurricanes. Another thing dust does is the same thing cosmic rays do. It allows for clouds to nucleate. So if you have dust in the upper and lower atmosphere, you're going to get more clouds. You're going to get more rain, torrential rain. Torrential rain. So if you think 16 inches in Tennessee was a big event, could you imagine 140 inches over 3 days? There's evidence of mud floods here in every single one of these small canyons here at Three Canyons, where upwards of 50-foot thick flows of mud come through a small drainage. And it's an instantaneous event, a weekend, a day, one single rain event. Now, we've had half-inch rain events here in an hour that's caused those gullies to blow out, and they lay out 6 to 12 inches of mud. But what if a 5-inch storm hit here in an hour? The roads would literally be covered. Houses would be covered in feet of mud in a few days. And I don't know why the whole mud flood community hasn't even figured it out, that it's not a conspiracy what they're looking for. The last grand solar minimum lasted for decades. The Maunder minimum. There were mud floods around the world because of constant rain. And if your whole society has been pushed down because of lack of food and nutrition, and it's freezing cold, and the weather sucks, and the mud is covering buildings, no one is going out there to dig out the mud. They're just trying to survive. And when the sun comes out and the ground dries up 100 or 4 generations later, they don't care about the mud. They rebuild and they move forward. So the whole mud flood nonsense that everyone's talking about, where they mix Gobekli Tepe up with something that happened 400 years ago or 300 years ago, is completely stupid. Stop it. Is aluminum a good metal to use for a Faraday cage? Absolutely not. It's absolutely useless as a Faraday cage, which is why you use copper. Now, you can use a steel box. You need to use something conductive, first of all, if you don't want to use copper. If you use a steel box, like a shipping container, you need to weld a very high power, maybe a 6 gauge or around that size wire onto the side of the box, take the paint off and go directly to the box. Then you need to clamp that to a 10-foot ground rod and stick that 8 feet in the ground. And then if a CME or an EMP were to hit, the container takes the blast and then shoots it into the ground. Now, inside of your box, you have small Faraday cages with a secondary protection with another Faraday cage in the Faraday cage. Aluminum foil is not aluminum. Aluminum foil, if that's what you're asking, Kristen, will work partially as a protectant. So if you have a small Faraday cage, what you would do is take all your devices and wrap them in aluminum foil and put them inside of a copper cage inside of your steel container that's grounded. And then that will be that'll be triple redundant. You're going to take the most of the blast in the steel cage and put it into the ground. Any residuals that go through will hit the Faraday cage. And then things in the Faraday cage are then wrapped with aluminum foil, which is not aluminum, but has aluminum in it. No, and in fact, aluminum foil can burn and is conductive. That's what we're looking for. But in an actual Faraday cage, you're looking for copper. Copper is the shielding agent that's used by the government. It's used by the military. I was hired to create a shielded room a few decades ago for a classified project. that had to do with government shielding. And it was a copper door that I put, a 10,000-pound copper door and a copper room that was filled with ferrite. And this was a room that they put electronics in and they could test and see if it was emitting bad stuff. And they use copper. So if you want the best Faraday cage, copper. How would extra dust? Okay, a couple more questions here. Hey, Diamond, what earth changes in particular are you expecting to see in the come next year? Well, we're waiting for a major flare to take out the grid. That's all we're waiting for. That's it. At any point, there could be a major earthquake or a major volcanic blast, and everyone knows that. At any point. But the inevitable, what we're waiting for that's inevitable is grid down. Grid down scenario. And the likelihood of it being the entire planet at once is very low. If you run the probabilities, the probability of what will happen is a small regional blackout, like back in 1989 up in Quebec. But this will be because of the state of the magnetosphere. If a Quebec event happened, it would be a large regional blackout, like the whole Northeast, out for months, 8 months maybe. Could you imagine that? That's what we should be preparing for. And there's no way to know where that will be because it will be based on the solar event, the type of event, and the location of the Earth as it's spinning. It's simply a crapshoot, which is why everyone needs to be prepared for every eventuality, which, by the way, is probably impossible. Angela Bloom, super chat. Thank you very much, Angela. We appreciate it. 1999 on the boom. On the Bloom, Angela Bloom boom. Copy. And she does have a question, but first, let's give her some props here. What's going on there? I do my best. We're winging it here, by the way. Do you believe that this is from Angela Bloom? Do you believe the galactic sheet you mentioned in a previous video arriving in your summation in approximately 2 years may be related to our solar cycles or what the natives recorded in petroglyphs? I think you're partially right. What you said in there, some of it is right. And what is right is that the natives recorded the effects of these events in petroglyphs, yes. But the galactic superwave is a long cycle event. And even when we talk to La Voilette, who's been studying this as long as I have, since the 80s, in geology, I was looking for a mechanism in stratigraphy because there were these cycles forming every 25,000 years for all of geologic time, like clockwork. And one of the 25,000 year cycles, all of them have a middle catastrophe in the middle. And so the cycle itself has a deep water facies, which means it's deep ocean or something. And then there's an unconformity. And right above it, there's a shallow facies, like a beach. Deep ocean to beach, deep ocean to beach, deep ocean to beach. The deep ocean part is a 12,000 year cycle of high sea level. The beach cycle is a 12,000 year cycle of low sea level. So the sea rises and falls 300 or 400 feet every 12,000 years. 12,000 years, it's high. That's the cycle we're in now. And right at the flexure point we're at now is the drop, where there's a 12,000 year cycle of low sea. Right now we're at the highest sea level. So what we're going into is a 400-foot sea level drop and the low stand half of the cycle. This cycle has been going on nonstop for hundreds of millions of years. So it's not going to be something different. And that's the funny thing about geology. There is no way this will not happen because it's happened hundreds of thousands of times for all of geologic time. And we just got done the 12,000 year high sea level part of the cycle. And what happens now in the flexure point, as the wave hits our solar system, something happens to cause the sea level to drop 400 feet. And that is called glaciation. When ice sheets build up in the north here, miles thick, and the sea is robbed of its moisture. This has been going on for at least several million years with high resolution information from proxy data from core samples. And we could see it. It's very pronounced. From the proxy data, the most pronounced part is the 104 kiloyear boom. And that's the major flexure point, the 100,000 year cycle. That's packaged into 5 cycles. And we just got done the 100,000 year cycle. which means that this halfway flexure point is not anything to be worried about. It's not going to be anything like the Younger Dryas event. There's not going to be oceans flooding over continents. Absolute fairy tales. There's no geologic evidence for that happening during the last cycle anywhere on Earth. So there is that. And the galactic superwave is not like a thing. It's not like a static thing. It's an environment that slowly shifts. So it has a long duration and thickness. So we've entered it already, and we're getting more into the wave that causes the shift. Now, on some stars, as it's coming in, the stars outburst. So at some point, the wave might cause our sun to outburst. Some people use the term micronova, but it's just made up. They made it up so that they could write a book. It's just a flare. We know that stars flare, and there's super flares and there's mega flares. And now people call them micronova to scare you. I'm sure when the natives were carving the petroglyphs, seeing the stickman dancing in the sky, I'm sure they weren't scared. And if they were, it wasn't a dangerous environment because they're sitting there painting it on the rock. They're probably going, what is that? Oh my God, I got to write this down. Show Jimmy. Because it was there for days or weeks or maybe months. And it was blowing their mind. It was something they didn't understand. I think if it was something they feared, they probably wouldn't have written it on all the rocks. They would have hid in a cave. It was something so fantastic and fabulous that had never happened before that everyone wrote it down. They woke up at night and they looked up and they said, "Oh my goodness, what is that?" And they had to put it on the rock. So the petroglyphs aren't fear-based because the fear is created by totalitarian takeovers of worlds like the one we're living in. The elites control you through fear, which is why your life, most people's lives, are driven by fear. If it were true, your whole life should be you fearing you're going to die. But no one's doing that. They're scared they're going to get a cold. Oh my God. I would be scared that I need a vaccine passport or that I'm going to be told where I can go when I can go. I would be scared that I might not be able to go into a supermarket because I didn't comply with some idiot that claimed that some false narrative over here is something that would be very important for me. The only person who knows what is important for me is me. No one else could know that. So there is that. You're the only one that knows what you need. And you're your own worst enemy because of the brainwashing and conditioning that's happened for your entire lifetime up to this point. It's very hard to break the paradigm and to wake up and to hear that popping noise. The sound of your head coming out of your ass all at once. And then when that happens, everyone surrounding you is a useless person. Because if you try to interact with them in any positive, progressive, or important way, they have no idea what you're talking about. There's no way to relate to most of the population. 80% of the people is like reading a newspaper. They're a complete fabrication. They're covered in makeup. They've got all these Nike and emblems on. They're following a trend. They're on a diet. I mean, come on. Aren't you on a diet? I go outside and eat plants out of the ground. That's my diet. And then that allows me to eat anything else I want. And guess what? I don't want. I don't want anything from a fast food joint. If I eat one bite of something from McDonald's, I will immediately shit myself because my body recognizes that that is not food. Many of you out there know exactly what I'm saying. The majority of the population is fed poison, sheep food. Actually, it's not even good for sheep. But nutrient deficient food that most people eat keeps them going to the hospital, keeps them on pharmaceuticals, keeps the cogs of the wheel of the elites rolling and filling their pockets with billions of dollars as our government prints it. All this is coming to a head. If we don't have a solar storm or a major reset from the sun in the next few years, the entire system will collapse. It might be this year, it might be next year. And I'm talking about the financial markets. Fiat money is about to go away. It will all be digitized. You will all be monitored. Every single calorie that comes in your mouth and out of your butt will be monitored from some type of satellite or device that's monitoring you. That's where we're headed. We need the sun to save us, in my opinion. And those that will be saved need to be prepared. Period. Wow. That was amazing. I just blew my mind. We are heating over the top here in Toronto. Well, wait for winter, Toronto. You're going to be freezing your right off. You're baking in Oklahoma. Yeah, it's August, Oklahoma. You know what the average temperature in Oklahoma in August is? Like, people don't remember, like, it's hot in summer. Someone just got back from Arizona. They were like, it's 95 all day. I'm like, that's 15 degrees below normal. It's usually 107 all day in August. And that's how good the brainwashing is. They actually convince you that when it's 20 degrees colder in Arizona, that that's global warming and it's hot. It's so complete. And then hundreds of thousands of you watch Dabu 7, and now you all believe that they're putting bombs in storms, that are making them bigger, and they're steering them, although there's no evidence for that. The storm weakened, it didn't hit anywhere populated, and the eye wall recycle process of a hurricane is normal. It's how they are. They exist through updraft and spinning and recycling. And sometimes they explode out of the eye wall. Just like Dabu saw for the first time. And he's so clueless that he had no idea what it was. Because he's not a scientist. He's a fearmonger and a bully. And he wants you to buy his shit and watch his show and believe everything he says. How many links below his videos are there for you to do your research and find out what he's saying is true? Okay. Last question. Oh, someone super chatted. Jason Paul, you got it. You nailed the last question. 300 in the house. Thank you all for coming. I got people coming up the driveway, and we got to end this soon. You guys want to see Graham? Come here. And she's sitting right over there in the chair. Grammy. There she is. All right. That was a nice little side trip. Okay, Jason Paul, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. We love you. And that is a boom. As for posterity, thank you for the red pill in 2017. Changed my life forever in a positive way. Keep rolling like you do. Woo! I got tingles, Jason. And that is the type of message I love to get. I get messages from doctors, from lawyers, from top professionals all around the world telling me stories like that in great detail. They say in 2018, I watched one of your shows and I quit my job. I was running this hospital, or I was the head CEO of this corporation. I quit my job. I took my entire family out to a rural area and bought a ranch. And now we have all of the food and animals, and we're healthier than we've ever been. And thank you. And those are the messages that keep me going, because we have affected a change in many people. And if I'm getting letters and emails like that all the time, there are dozens of other people that are doing the same thing that aren't telling us. We know that. It's how it works. So, Crestone Energy Fair coming up this weekend. It's a free event. It's all weekend. You can camp for free. It's in the middle of nowhere. There are no rules or restrictions. It's free. I'll be there. Dozens of other amazing vendors, food. There's free food all weekend. You don't even need to bring money. You can literally live off the fair all weekend. That's how awesome we are. free food, free seeds, free stuff. Come to our tent. Listen to the talks. Learn about earth ships, earth bags, straw bale, all types of alternative construction, all types of alternative energy. We're going to be showcasing a wood gasifier so big that it will be able to power the entire fair in 2022 from burning wood. This is what each and every one of us needs to know how to do, build from scrap parts. And if you come to the Crestone Energy Fair, you will see one in operation. So, and there are the alarms going off on the driveway. So I got people driving up right now. I got to get to them. I have one more super chat here. Socrates Rising. Yes, thank you, Socrates. We love you. And that is boom. All right. So let me say thank you to Socrates here and all of you for coming and listening to me rant as usual. I hope I answered some questions. I hope it brought you up to speed. I hope you gave peace of mind and maybe motivate you to do something just a little different. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance in a dystopian world where once you look at the news, you are being brainwashed. No doubt about it. Subscribe to the channel. Share this with like-minded people. And be the change you want to see. Oh, and don't take names. We love you.